Understand why it's not. What up, baby? What up, baby? I don't know what's happening. That little music isn't great. I could just do audio only. Gotta get audio. Let me try that. Settings, integrated camera. I don't know. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Yay! I love it when technology decides it wants to work. Yay! I love it. I don't know. My little integrated camera decided it was not going to turn on, but here we are. Don't you love live shows? Yay! Anyway, I'm here. So today, we are going to continue that conversation we've been doing since we started the show. Really, there's been variations of better together and living powerfully. You know, I had a weekend where it was, an interesting community experience at several different layers. But one of the things that I did, I was going to show some videos, and I think my computer's like, not today. It's like not doing it right now. Even my camera stopped showing. So it kind of made me realize I should stop my little extracurricular activities. But I went and attended this weekend. I attended Black Wall Street, which if you're in the Seattle area, you would know it's something that's hosted by Africatown. And the number of Black entrepreneurs that are there that represent almost every aspect of business was incredible. So it's community resources, vendors. It was just beautiful. Every time I've gone, it's been an amazing experience. I got there and I had on a similar shirt. It was a different color, but it was a similar shirt. And I wore my little beads, my beautiful beads that I got when I was in Africa. And of course, I was attracted to one of the booths, and the lady was like, I was asking people, what does living your legacy mean to you? And she looked at me and she's like, can I touch those? She said, those are the real deal. And I was like, so she started like kind of, you open them up, you kind of look so you could see that they're real. Like the other version of these beads that they were used for trading in Africa and other countries. And so she was like, can I touch them? Or, and so she could see that they were real. She's like, did you know? So she sort of educated me on things that I didn't know. My question to her was, let's talk about living your legacy. So I will, when I have some other resources available to me, I will show some videos of these beautiful individuals that I connected with. Every booth I went to, I asked them all the same question. What does living your legacy mean to you? And what that first lady did, I was trying to see if I could find her name, but she started pouring into me. Now here I am trying to create legacy for each of you, and she started pouring into me. She's like, do you know every African-American, every person on this planet should have, let me see if I can angle this down a little bit. So she was like, everyone should have a version of these, even if you just had one bead, the artistry. But she's like, we were valued. They used to trade not only commerce, but they traded us. She's like, one of those beads would be equal to 2 humans, a male and a strong female, just for one of these beads. And I only say that to say she wanted to make sure I knew that I was wearing our legacy. I was like, wow, that is deep. She said, and then you coming around her asking people about how they're living their legacy, just the idea of us keeping people aware that we get to choose how we live our life. We get to choose how we live our legacy. So for me, I find this living powerfully experience and getting better together and the concept of an empowerment series. Sometimes it's just connecting with the right people. And in this space, each and every person that I spoke to was phenomenal. That first lady, though, I have to admit, she had a little African booth set up. She was from Kenya, and her son was there with her. So they were showcasing their business. I'm looking because I did text her. Her name was, okay, I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but her name was, that's not her either. Okay, I'm not going to find it in a moment, but I did text her. Apparently there's been a lot of texting going on. I don't see the text. But she was a beautiful African woman. I did have her video up and ready to play. What I am going to share is community is just how we show up with each other. Again, sometimes you show up less than, I'll say less than maybe a planned approach, because it started raining. And so for this event, this African Black Wall Street event, it was raining. The prior weekend was Labor Day weekend or Memorial weekend. The weather was perfect, but they were there last weekend, meaning this past Sunday. And honestly, no one prepared for the rain. It was kind of on and off, and it was still beautiful. So what I noticed she was doing and everyone else was doing, they were prepared, right? And I think that's part of living your legacy now, is saying, you know, I'm going to show up. I'm going to do my part. Whatever that is, I'm going to do my part. And I'm going to assume that whatever happens, it's going to work out for my good, right? So she was covering stuff up when the rain was coming. And when it wasn't, you know, they were, you know, keeping things protected as much as she could during the rain, and then making sure that things were in a position to sell and showcase when the rain stopped. But I just loved everyone's energy. No one was complaining. They were just happy to be there, connecting with each other, bringing their goods to community. But it was also very beautiful to be able to talk to each person about legacy. And let me just tell you what the common thread was. The next generation, right? I mean, when you hear the word legacy, you obviously think about the next generation. So you had some of them that were there. I'm going to say over 50% of the people that I spoke to, of the vendors that I spoke to, were there with someone from their family, right? The first lady from Kenya had her son there. He had on his African garb and was looking and was speaking. He had changed his name. He had gone to, you know, a deep, he was ready to have some deeper conversations. And we did. Like he talked about what legacy meant to him. But it was very clear that mother was living her legacy and was pouring it into their children today, like every day. that was the beauty of it. Another lady, she was, an artist, and she had jewelry there, and not African, just jewelry. It was, beautiful. But she had her younger daughter there. And once again, I asked, if they would want to have a conversation and talk about legacy. She's like, oh, each of these parents were like, oh yeah. Meaning they had already poured into their children, and they were very comfortable having their children speak on their behalf about what legacy means. Now, the children may not have said what the parents were going to say, because again, these are unique beings. But what the parents were confident in is that they had shared what was in their hearts. They had shared their whys. So whatever the child brings to that as well, each of those parents, each of those people, each person in community was like, I'm living powerfully. I'm living my legacy now. And I just felt blessed to connect with each of them. And again, I threw this on because I wanted to just show up again in community. Y'all know I am, my complexion is dark. She kept looking at me. She's like, girl, you are so Ghanaian. So let me get a little closer there. She's like, I was like, that's what they said when I was there. She was like, I guess she was talking about my cheekbones, perhaps my deep, dark complexion. But she was like, you are a beautiful queen and you are so Ghanaian. Now she's Kenyan. And of course we're dark. She's a beautiful sister as well. But it just felt so powerful for each of us to be in a position where we could be living our legacy now. Like every person there felt like and again, nothing was, I'm not gonna say everyone had a Cinderella story, right? Because there were people who talked about their journey, that wanted to tell their story deeper even than others. And I just thought it was so powerful. It was so beautiful. So when you think about better together and living powerfully, it really does, hopefully emboldens you. I show up here every Monday because I'm like, look, I was almost going to go on without my camera because my camera was deciding it wasn't going to work. And I was like, I don't know what that's about, but we're going to figure something out. And then I thought, okay, let me try another restart. And eventually it worked. So things work out exactly the way they should. They don't always work out perfectly. I'm working on a situation right now in business where again, if you think about, this is about living your legacy now, right? Living your legacy now. So deciding that you want to show up in excellence. And if someone asked you right now, what does that mean to you? Like, what legacy do you want to live? What legacy are you living? And what legacy do you want to leave? It is not about the leave part, right? It's not about what are you going to do later. It really is about what are you doing right now today? How are you showing up in community for yourself? How are you fixing things? How are you connecting with people? Debrina Jackson Gandy is actually one of my one of the people I love the most. She's actually a coach that I've leveraged in as well. And I'm a coach, so I understand the concept of transformational coaching. And she's an amazing leader. And what she likes to highlight is this concept of integrity, right? Personal integrity. Are you doing what you say you were going to do? And stay with me here, because I'm going to talk about living powerfully, living your legacy now. And I'm going to check the calendar. It's June 2nd. Of 2025. I was just in Africa in December and January. Like I was there. It's 6 months into an entire new year. I don't know what you said you were going to do this year. I don't know what you thought you were going to do this year. But if you're not taking a pause to say, drum roll, please, let's get this party started, right? Then let me drum roll for you and let's get this party started. Let's make sure we're showing up in excellence, period. I mean, I can't say anything more than we are all here on purpose. And here, let me share the three things I was going to share today. So your objective. Let me look at the clock. I got 4 minutes before the first break, so bear with me. Your objective in life. We talked last week about this concept of Ikigai, I-K-I-G-A-I. I was surprised at how many people knew what that was. Like how many people at this Black Wall Street that's hosted by Africa Town that had so many individuals, organizations, leaders who were living their legacy now. It was just so beautiful. It was beautiful to be a part of it. But most of them knew, they actually, whether they knew the term Ikigai, the Japanese term, which we talked about last week. Remember those 4 concentric circles, what you love to do, your passion, right? What you do well, like, what, your, I guess it's your vocation, right? What do you do well without trying, right? Your profession is what you can do well and get paid to do, right? That's where you got money coming in and you do it well. Because you could do certain things well and nobody wants to pay you for it. Then that's not quite your profession. It could be a vocation. It could be a skill that you have, but not necessarily a vocation. So if you take the passion, the vocation, the profession, and that final one is the mission. It's like, what, where's your heart? What do you want to serve? How do you want to serve? How do you want to show up in community? How do you want to make things better? There's a lot happening. A lot of people are freaking out about the coming of the end. Maybe. All I know is when the end comes, I'm going to be saying, Lord, thank you. Hopefully I showed up for you. Hopefully me showing up, y'all, I'm being honest. Me showing up right now in this way every Monday is part of my purpose. God has put so much into me, really. And there's some other people I'm going to be interviewing and bringing in and et cetera, but I'm also writing my next book. And I want to make sure like we have a very intentional way of saying, here's what I know to be true. Let me leave it for those, who might be on a mission, who might want to do some work to show up in their fullest. And so with 2 minutes left, I ask you guys to think about as you go into this next opportunity here. I see that my last, I'm going to say, what is your legacy? What is your legacy? All right. What is your legacy? What are you willing to do every day, day in and day out, that would hopefully bring a smile on your face? It's something you love to do. It's something that you do well. It's something that basically is going to contribute to the betterment of others, right? And hopefully you can get paid to do it. That's called ikigai. That's like living on purpose. It's living powerfully in its core essence, right? And if you only do one of those things, it's not quite the same. Like if you're just doing something where you can make money, I did that for 25 years. Thank God I was connected to nonprofits along the way. So I felt like the National Black MBA Association, we started this show initially with Dr. Carter, who was like, you know what? I love us showing up in community. Like we got to put our voices out there. We got to be able to share this concept of getting better together. Not saying we have problems where we are, but we're saying we get to show up in excellence. So the beauty of the opportunity that we get showing up here once a week is really to say, what can we do? What can we each do? And I'll come back with some very specific things that each of us can do to live powerfully, to continue to live your legacy now, not leave a legacy, because who knows when our time, I'm knocking on wood, who knows when our time is officially up. But what we do know is you got today, you got this moment. And so if that means you're going to show up differently, you're going to smile more, you're going to bring positive energy into the situations that you've been brought into, you're at the table. If you have a seat at the table, I'm going to not, stifle my voice, for example, right? I'm going to create a space where I can lovingly bring forward change. If that's your opportunity, then yay. I hope you're taking advantage of it. So we're going to come right back after this commercial break, and we are going to talk again about what it means to show up in excellence, what it means to live your legacy now. Stay with us.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not explaining to my intern exactly what R&B is, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
A teacher who hurt their back and got prescribed opioids. A daughter trying to cope with a loss in the family. A friend silently struggling, thinking they'll be a burden if they ask for help. People with addiction come from all walks of life. And the truth is they stand a better chance at recovery with our support. Reaching out and sharing local resources can make all the difference. Don't count them out. More people recover with support. Find more ways to help at supportaddictionrecovery.com. That's supportaddictionrecovery.com.
My name is BK, International Talent Scout. I'm bringing a brand new show to you called BK Presents. Non-stop stop. Your favorite in gospel music studio session. Going deep into interviews with your favorite artists, producers, and their engineers. You and your concert previews and concert reviews. Get it all on bkpresents.com.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at yung local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.org.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
Sediment cleanup of the lower Duwamish River has begun. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the members of the Lower Duwamish Waterway Group, which includes King County, the City of Seattle, and Boeing, have begun sediment cleanup of the Lower Duwamish Waterfall Superfund site. This important environmental project will address sediment pollution and help restore the health of the Duwamish River. Starting on the waterway's upper reach, construction activities extend from the South 102nd Street Bridge down straight to the Duwamish Waterway Park. Over the next 3 years, in-water activities will occur from October to February, ending in February 2027. Visit ldwg.org to learn about the upper reach cleanup and sign up for email updates.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenue radio.world.
Hey, y'all. This is Dr. Traci Harrell, and you are back for another powerful episode of Living Powerful, Powerfully, and Better Together. So I'm going to go really fast. I'm going to talk even faster than normal. No, I'm not. Like, what? Okay, so we're going to talk really, really quickly about why is it so important that we focus on legacy right now. I'm working with a few organizations. One of them is Adafua. So Afua Kuyate is an amazing leader. She's been in community for 40 years, and she's kind of part of my being on purpose right now because she's been in community for 40 years. They're building an African cultural arts center, and they're looking forward to like how each of us can pour into leaving our own legacy as well. So when I say I am getting to provide capacity building and both communications, marketing, I'm able to actually really help them with their development. So fundraising, we're talking about truly strategic planning and really how are you more effective, right? In community, a lot of times we have someone who's passionate, structure behind you. So we're actually creating a space for true legacy building. Right. And so for me to say, I get to leave my legacy with someone who has shown up for 40 years in community. It's like, you don't get to, make a mistake when you're walking on purpose. Right. It's like it is what it is. So not about what you're leaving behind when you're gone, but what mark are you making every single day? And every single day, I am showing up in excellence, and I know I'm pushing forward an agenda that's going to help our people. It's going to help everyone, black, white, red, yellow, blue, green, like everybody. Like if the concept is saying, I show up, that's one of the things I do. Like one of the groups that I support. And I just wanted to mention them specifically because, again, my heart of hearts, I always wanted to do the work I did in corporate, which I did for 25 years, 8 years at IBM, 14 years at Disney, 5 years at Microsoft. I say that because it was such a beautiful experience. That entire time, 25 years, I was also supporting the National Black MBA Association, MBA for Masters in Business Administration. Like someone poured into me, right, when I was in college, came to the school and helped me. I've told this story before, but it's so powerful because it's like, you support organizations, and we're all volunteers with that organization. So you do what you can do and keep it moving. And that's all we've been able to do. But someone poured into me, and I'm like, wow, every day That person had a full-time job, but they still came to my college and gave me information that I didn't have, that made me a better person. I was like, wow, if that took my life on a whole new trajectory. And all I ever want to do is be like, I got a lot of information. When I say I got a lot of learning up in here, I read like 1,000 books. I was a geeky little 13-year-old that someone first introduced this idea of ikigai back then. So I was like, ooh, I get to live on purpose. I was always like, okay, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I love the concept of it. I love, you live on purpose and you never work a day in your life. So these aren't new concepts to me. I've been living them out every day, but I've never been so fully on purpose. Right. And it's such a blessing. So for each of you, sorry, this is what we're going to talk about real quick. How much time do we have? 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 23 minutes. So we're going to talk about these three things. How do you define your unique legacy in actionable terms? So we're not just talking. How do you define your unique legacy? Because I did have about 3 or 4 people reach out to me and they were talking about legacy. They kind of like little IMs or whatever. And sorry if you reached out and I didn't respond. But people who reached out right away. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, I have to admit. And I mean, I go to, LinkedIn for a while, but once I go there, then I may, engage more. These lives actually go to LinkedIn without me having to do anything. So people think I'm there a lot more than I really am. Like this was set up, so I'm there. Feel free to reach out to me, IM me directly. I have no problem providing people with my information because I am here and I want to contribute. But this is what we're going to talk about. How do you define your unique legacy in actionable terms? Why does legacy matter, right, for your personal fulfillment and community well-being? We're also going to talk about concrete steps that you can take right now to begin living. And I'm using the word living your legacy now, not leaving your legacy, but living it now. I just had to pause because I'm talking fast. We started a little late, so I'm trying to go faster. Okay. So, and then we're going to also talk a little bit about how can you measure your progress and know that you're succeeding. Now, it feels freaking amazing. Let me just be clear. If a lot of people in corporate, they're like, I'm doing this work for somebody else, and this is their vision. And I had a lot of people in corporate that were just like, oh my God, like I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. The money's nice. They call it the golden handcuffs. The money's nice, but I don't feel like I'm living my purpose. If God knocked at my door today and said, I put these gifts in you, are you really contributing them? Are you planting them the way I asked you to plant them? I don't know if, you could say that if you just doing that, right? If you're just working for someone else, I don't know, but you got time and energy, hopefully, to be able to pour into community. So we're going to talk about also how do you measure your progress? And let me just say, the first measure is how do you feel? A lot of people have felt not joyful. Right. And I'm not going to say you always feel joyful when you're living your best life, but it dang sure feels good, y'all. Let me just say it feels freaking amazing. It does. And there's trauma and drama along the way, but it feels really good when you're like in that space. Okay. Thank you. So segment 1, topic 1, defining your legacy. So what does legacy mean to you? So that's kind of where we want to start. We did a little bit of this last week when I was talking about the ikigai, I-K-I-G-A-I, the Japanese term for, living on purpose. Iki, living, purpose, living where those 4 circles of your passion, your vocation, your profession, and your mission, where those 4 things intersect. That's the center. That's the bullseye. That's like, oh, I'm so there. Like I get to contribute to the universe, do something I love to do where I basically, if you're living life and you're like in flow, where you're like, oh my God, I could do this for free. That's what I'm doing right now. Like I could do this for free. Sometimes I do, but most times I don't, right? So let me just say, you want to ask yourself these questions. How do you want to be remembered, right? Are you someone who uplifted other people? Were you an innovator who challenged the status quo? I think people would say I sometimes challenge the status quo. Are you a mentor who guided emerging leaders? Do you like working with young people? Like, how do you want to be remembered? The reason we want to pause and really think about this, defining your legacy, what does legacy actually mean to you? It's really about how do you want to be remembered? If you could write your own epitaph, your own, what's on your tombstone, for example, what values will you leave behind for other people? Will you be remembered for your generosity, your commitment to justice, your creative spirit, your joy, the fact that you talked really fast and showed up every Monday contributing to the universe, I'm in. Like, God knows my heart. God knows my heart. I am 1,000% comfortable that I'm showing up for you guys because this is what I was meant to do. Part of what I was meant to do. I'm writing my next book, and I'm doing it in other ways as well. But showing up for community is my joy, my honor, and my pleasure. So also, what communities do you serve? When you're thinking about your legacy, who do you want to support? Right? Is it your family? That's legacy too. You don't have to be out there, contributing to everybody in the universe. If you're like, I want my family to have ABC, that's, start close at home, right? And then if you think about your faith community, whatever that looks like, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, it could be your cultural community. Whatever it is, you got to really ask yourself the question and then write. Remembered as what I want to be remembered for, what values do I want to leave behind, and what communities do I want to serve? And then you can write those words down and think about 2 communities that you want to impact the most and how you want to be remembered. Pause. I'll keep moving. Excuse me. Several people ask me a question about legacy, like the legacy. If I'm not clear what my purpose is, and it may change over time. So it's not like whatever you say today, it has to stick with you for the next 65 years. It's like, this is what I'm doing right now. I know right now, this is what I was meant to do. I have the energy to do it. I have the propensity to do it. I get to show up in community. So, you get to decide what is that for you right now? What do you want to be remembered for in this moment? It may change, but you don't wait until you spend 40 years figuring it out. That's called wandering through the wilderness. You don't want that. You want to show up on purpose the best you can today, and then the best you can the next day. That's it. And if you, period. I have to breathe. I have to breathe. Pause. So that was segment 1, right? This concept of legacy. What does it mean to you? Now, if you want to ask yourself why living your legacy today matters, right? It's a couple of things, right? It's easy to think about your legacy as work to some distant day. Before I die, I want to do that thing over there. When I retire, I'm going to do the other thing, right? But delaying your legacy means you miss the opportunity to experience your fulfillment of living powerfully, living purposefully today. You miss it. Like, you'll never have today. You'll never have today again. So that's why it's like living your legacy, not leaving it. Are you living your legacy now? That's living powerfully. And it means something different to each person, right? And here's 3 reasons why you want to leave your legacy now and why it's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. I love that word. So if you think about purpose and motivation, right? You want your daily actions to align with your legacy. So each morning has a meaning, right? The idea, the purpose and motivation, this is for you, right? Some people, literally, no lie. I had some people come back to me and say, this was from a few weeks ago, there were text messages or chat things where someone said, sometimes I can't get out of bed. Our brain's natural motivators, those dopamines, those endorphins, all the positive energy. When you wake up knowing that, hey, let's go. This is going to lead to something bigger than you. That's why my company is called It's All Bigger Than Me. That's part of it, right? Because God was making it very clear since I was a young girl. It's bigger than you. It's like those words used to resonate. I used to hear those words, bigger than you. When I do something that required courage and bravery, it's bigger than you. I wrote about this in the books. I don't remember if it was Ignite Happiness, Ignite Your Inner Spirit, or Ignite Possibilities. But I've written about it in those books, that little trilogy of internationally best-selling books that I contributed to. The last one was called Ignite Possibilities, and it was anything is possible. But I remember writing in Ignite Happiness, I think I wrote about being bullied, right? And it was like, when I stood up for other people, even though I got beat up. I remember bloody, pretty white shirt. It was like, oh my God, it was the happiest. I feel like Superwoman. Like I was standing up for a younger person. It's just, I was watching something happening and it was just so not right. And I just stood up and, said something smart mouth and was like, the little bully was like, who's going to stop me? You. I was like, yeah. But then I'm thinking, God, I hope you got me. I'm joking. I'm not joking about the story, but I really did say, okay, let's go. But that was me showing up with my values. So again, purpose and motivation. I know for a fact that I'm going to try to do my best. I'm going to try to do the right thing. I really, 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 really am. And I'm going to try to defend others, right? When there's a situation where, you know, the right thing or the wrong thing, I'm 99.9% of the time going to try to choose the right thing, the thing that feels right to me. I'm not going to be like, I don't care. I don't care if this is the wrong thing. I'm like, I may not be able to do the right thing, but I'm going to do what feels right to me, what feels like the right thing for me and those around me. I'm going to try. I really, really, really am. And if not, I ask those people who love me to call me out. So, number one. So why living your legacy today matters? That's why, right? It's your own motivation. Number two is influencing today's community, right? Legacy is not just a personal concept. It's interwoven into the communities that you belong in. So how do you want to help others? How do you want to support the people around you? This is it. I can give you an example, but I won't, right? We can talk about Adafua, which was one of my partners. Last year, they decided that fostering cultural pride through storytelling was very important. Not only is she doing a memoir, but she's actually hosting an actual documentary called The Legacy of Adafua. That's telling your story, but she's weaving in your story too. She's weaving in the cultural, the importance of all of us leaving our legacy. Come on now. I just love that. Like weaving that in, like this is what I've done over the last 40 years. We're building this space as African Culture Arts Center, which is super exciting. But she's also saying, you know, these are my people. I want everybody to feel like this is your community. This is your legacy. So she has this little quote. They say, we are Adafua. You're Adafua. Like she's been doing this for years. Like God gave her all these little pieces, and now we're putting it all together and creating a space where it goes into community deeply and wonderfully. It's so exciting. It really is. So I say that to say this is another human being, right? A woman who has built a community, who's shown up for 40 years in community, doing exactly what she was meant to do. Exactly what she was meant to do. Fostering cultural pride through her own storytelling, through music, through drumming, right? Through connecting. They did all kind of empowerment series in community with young people and older people. They go to the senior citizen center and families. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be a part of. And it's because legacy became an action every day for these people. For Afua Kuyate, legacy was building. I mean, she was about building legacy every day and doing it in a way that she loves and that she knew would contribute to the community. So again, ask yourself, one of your success indicators, whatever you're doing, right? Are there people that you can bring along that you're going to positively impact, that you might inspire to do it? Number three. And again, this is like why living your legacy today matters. We said number one was purpose and motivation for you and others around you. People are watching you. So that's for you, your purpose and motivation. Let's go. Whether you're at work, at Microsoft or IBM or wherever, you know, like I said, I love working in those corporations. I loved it. I love community. I loved it. I really did. But I also had my other stuff on the side, right? I had my community work on the side because, you know, I wanted to have a greater impact in my community, right? With my people. And I also impacted in the organization as well. I used to be I was the D&I lead at Disney, which is the largest single source employer in the nation, single site rather employer, I think in the nation, because Disney's so big and all those hotels and all this stuff. So I think they're the largest single site, at least they were when I was there. That's what we used to say. So largest single site employer in the country is Disney World. And I was the lead over their diversity, equity, and inclusion. They called it PULSE group, right? The DRG or ERG, People United to Lead, Serve, and Excel. I love that. So that was me influencing my community then. I was working in the corporate space. I was part of the National Black MBA. I was part of my internal community. People knew, and there weren't that many Black people that were in leadership roles. So I was a leader of leaders, right? At Disney. There weren't many of us there, but people knew they could look at this one right here. They knew she was going to tell the truth and shame the devil, as they say. That's a Southern term. I was not afraid to speak truth to power, right? Lovingly, professionally. I didn't act up much, but I would show up, and that was me influencing community. So again, 3 things why living your legacy today matters. Purpose and motivation for you and others, influencing today's community and tomorrow's community as well, but also building sustainable impact. Again, legacy that waits ends up being fragile. Oh, I'm gonna do that when I finish this other thing, right? If you push it off, you risk burnout, you risk lost connection, you wish regrets. I don't regret a day because I show up and I leave it all on the table, literally. Loud and crazy as I am, I'm like, hey, I probably didn't even need to do the show today, but I'm hopefully influencing somebody's life today. And they like, you know what? I really do need to be more intentional about living my legacy now. A living legacy evolves, right? Each step compounds. 10 years from now, you won't even recognize how big your deliverables are if you've been doing this little track record wins, this ongoing momentum, whatever it is. So you get to decide. I'm asking you, each of you right now, to decide. Break your legacy vision into legacy micro wins. Hello. You like that? I know I have issues. But like literally, what can you complete today? What can you complete this week? If it's mentoring one person, if it's launching a blog series, if it's just sending out a message to somebody that was positive, it's whatever you feel inside. And that's the other thing. Those success indicators, at least you can decide on a number. I want to do at least 3 of those legacy micro wins with a deadline in the next 30 days. I want to do at least 3. Let's do that. Bam, 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 bam. I want to do at least 3. Legacy, I don't know why I'm so loud. Hopefully he's adjusting the volume. I get excited. Sorry. So 3 legacy micro wins this month. Just 3. And I say that every day. If you can just do 3 things a day, like think about the first thing, the second thing, just do 3 and keep it moving. Right? Decide I'm gonna do 3 things today that are going to align with my future, right? Whatever legacy I'm trying to leave, but let them have deadlines within the next 30 days. But right now, let's just say in the next week, 6/2, by 6/9, in the next 7 days, you should have done 3 things that are going to attribute to a goal that you've already set. 3. It can be 3 a day, but I'm saying 3 in a week because we're busy, right? And hopefully, if you're not aligning your time, I got 5 minutes. Let me keep moving. So I just want to clarify 3 things that you can do. And I'll finish this next week if need be. But why living your legacy today matters, right? This is purpose and motivation, influencing today's community, but also building that sustainable impact. The last section was how community amplifies your legacy. So it's not just about you. When I say better together, I mean no one's legacy is built in isolation, right? I love Ada Foods talking about the legacy of Ada Foods. She's like, we've been doing this for 40 years. We've been doing it with you people in community. Hey, we can't do the next thing without you. We are Ada Food, but you are Ada Food too. Hello. Think about it, right? Collaboration and co-creation. When you partner with others and you share your values, you unlock synergies. You can't be afraid. I told somebody my idea before and they took it. So if it's for you, it's for you. Don't even matter. Let it go. That ain't how we roll up in here. We are about community and sharing. You're not giving away your IP, your intellectual property. You're saying, hey, it is in my heart to want to contribute and collaborate and integrate and create a space where we can all grow, mentor someone, have joint programs. If you guys are doing things that are helping to build affordable housing, for example, you ain't the only one. There's a lot of people who are doing that. Wellness, great. Right? Whatever it is, take an action step. Choose someone in your network that you're going to reach out to this week and see and offer a co-creation invitation. Hey, I'd love to team up with you because I see your strengths in blah, 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 blah. And I believe together we can blah, 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 which will align with our shared legacy to blah, 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 period. Now let's figure it out. I don't know what your legacy is, but I want to be of value in this way. So again, this is an action. I'm being very specific. My my producer's going to tell me when it's time to. Thank you. You may have to verbalize because I also got very organized this week. I actually wrote out what I wanted to share, the key elements I wanted to share. Okay. So the other thing was accountability and support. So why is it better together? Why is it better? Why does community amplify your legacy? Again, collaboration and co-creation. We talked about like you reaching out, accountability and support. Legacy work can feel overwhelming. But when you have an accountability partner, that accountability circle, that living powerfully accountability circles, right? Those micro wins you get to share and encourage each other and kind of keep that process moving forward. So you can form an accountability circle, 3 to 5 people who want to live their legacy now. Share your virtual, your in-person check-ins within the next 7 days. right? And then confirm that the group exists, right? Put a little message out here on the thing and say, we did it. I got my circle. Show up and just go into the community and say what you're doing. And then the other thing is this collective impact and scale. When you hear this concept of scaling something, it's like this ripple effect. When one person commits to their legacies in aligned ways and other people do as well, it's that ripple effect. You know what? Waves, right? So think about your neighborhood. So if 10 artists decide they want to leave a legacy, now there's not just one voice that's being amplified. There's a whole bunch of amplified, underrepresented voices, perhaps, right? It could be a citywide mural where everybody does, 1 6x6 piece of it. And now you got something that's like, oh my God, reaching thousands of residents. So it's that concept of collective impact creates scale, right? So map out 2 or 3 organizations, not just individuals. That was the first one. But now you want to talk about organizations. What other groups and communities can you share your legacy with? Can you start to really explore the idea of integrating collaborative events? And again, ADEFUA is one I'm recommending, ADEFUA, ADEFUA.org. So I'll keep moving. I think I have 2 minutes. Let me see. So deep dive. So if you want to think about your own blueprint, you want to create a legacy statement. I am somebody, right? I am whoever you are, right? What are your core values and who do you serve? And I want to contribute in this way. So if you're not clear, that's how you can start building out your own little legacy blueprint, right? Your own clarity around defining who you are. And then think about your values, right? Mine are integrity, creativity, service. Those are 3 of mine, right? I like to speak truthfully to the best of my abilities, right? Even when it's challenging. People don't like it. Some people don't like it. They'll be like, Traci, yeah, she sometimes speak her mind in a loving way. I can guarantee no one's ever said, I can tell you that I've always tried to be loving and like, hey, this is what we said we were going to do. We're not there. We're not even close to there. I don't know. So integrity is important. Creativity, finding innovative ways to uplift cultures, to tell your story, to have a dialogue. So creativity is important. And then service. I do volunteer time. This is volunteer. Nobody paying me to show up here. And I put my energy into it. I put thought into it. I done wrote up some stuff. This is going in my book too, by the way. But I'm putting out here for free in the universe. My book and video content is going to be free in the universe. I don't want nobody to say, oh my God, I didn't have access to A, B, or C, right? But I'm a coach too. I'm a coach and a consultant, and I can pour into you. It's deep and it's wide. Okay, I think I'm getting the hand. So if you think about integrating this concept of mindset into what you do, the best thing that I could say on how we would put your legacy into motion is to daily do a check-in, right? Check in with yourself. And then think about those weekly legacy micro wins. Take 5 minutes and identify 2 micro wins. I said 3, right? That you can complete each week. If each day you do 3 things, 15 minutes a day, start your day. We call those, with a legacy statement, your pillar values. What's one thing you're going to do today? One thing you can do today to embody those legacy values. And then 3 things you've done this week that embody that legacy, those micro wins, right? And then monthly, think about community. How can you reach out to other people? Don't keep your legacy to yourself. Well, I don't want nobody to steal my idea. That ain't for you. Sorry, it is not for you. It is not for you. Your legacy, living your legacy is not for you. He said, time's up. Okay, there you go. Time is up. I think next we might have one of my most favorite shows, Lidline Sports.